Hey everybody, welcome back to Historicalish. This is episode 6 of the Ancient Mysteries Iceberg, volume 2. We'll be covering the second half of the third tier, and I know I've been MIA for a little bit, so I won't waste your time. Let's jump right in. Mysterious stone structures in Saudi Arabia. The mysterious stone structures in Saudi Arabia are often called the Gates of the Desert or the Arabian Gates. Discovered primarily using satellite imagery, these structures are scattered across the lava fields of the Harat Khaybar region in Saudi Arabia, and over 1,000 of these particular stone structures have been identified. The total number might even be higher today as further research and exploration obviously takes place. These stone structures vary in shape and size, but many resemble gate-like formations, hence the name. They can be several hundreds of meters long and are usually built using basaltic rocks available in the region. And the structures are diverse in appearance. Some are shaped like kites, others like keyholes, and some are that simple rectangular shape. Some also have associated features like platforms or cairns, and dating these structures has also been a challenge, but based on the minimal interaction with other known archaeological sites and features, it is believed that many of them are older than 2,000 years old. Some estimations even suggest that they might be up to 7,000 years old. However, precise dating requires on-ground research and sample analysis, which has been extremely limited. Obviously, it being on this list, the exact purpose of these structures remains one of the biggest mysteries surrounding them. However, there are a few theories. There is the hunting purpose theory, which some of the kite-shaped structures might have been used for hunting. These kites could funnel wild animals towards a killing point, making hunting more efficient. There's also a ritualistic or ceremonial theory. Given their mysterious nature and lack of definitive utilitarian purpose, some researchers speculate that they might have been some ceremonial or ritualistic significance. Obviously, being big rocks and in ancient times, there is an astronomical theory. Some structures could have been used as astronomical markers or to celebrate celestial events, much like other ancient structures worldwide. And even simply, they could have just been used as territory markers to mark specific territories or regions of different tribes. There is the burial site theory, which, some structures, especially those associated with cairns, could potentially be linked to burial practices. So that's another top one. In general, though, the discovery of these structures kind of shed some light on the rich and complex prehistoric landscape of the region, especially now being complete desert. It would be interesting to see what life was like back in the prehistoric age and, obviously what these massive stones were for. Jiroft Culture. The Jiroft Culture refers to an ancient civilization that flourished in the early Bronze Age around 2200 to 1800 BC in what is today the southeastern region of Iran, particularly in the Halil River Basin. The site drew attention in the early 2000s after reports of looting, leading to formal archaeological investigations. The excavations in the region revealed a rich material culture, indicating that this area was once a thriving center of ancient civilization. So some of the most notable artifacts from the Jiroft include intricate carved chlorite vessels, soapstone sculptures, and distinctive pottery designs. The chlorite vessels often depict complex mythological scenes and motifs, which demonstrate the advanced craftsmanship and artistic sensibility of this specific culture. The Jiroft region also contains remnants of ziggurats, which are monumental buildings, and other structures that also show urban planning and architectural competence. There have been inscriptions found in the Jiroft region that some scholars believe might represent an as-yet undeciphered form of writing, and if confirmed, this would significantly impact our understanding of early writing systems and their distribution. The origins of the Jiroft culture and its relation to other contemporary cultures remains a huge topic of debate. Some suggest it might represent an entirely independent civilization, while others believe it might be connected to well-known ancient civilizations like the Elamites or the Indus Valley civilization. And as mentioned earlier, there are inscriptions that might hint at an independent writing system. And if this is the case, the Jiroft culture would be one of the earliest civilizations to develop writing. However, not all scholars agree on this interpretation, and there's obviously an ongoing debate about the nature and significance of these inscriptions. But the whole mystery here, kind of wrapped up into one thing, is that essentially the discovery of the Jiroft culture has raised questions about the broader historical and cultural narratives of the ancient Near East. The richness of material culture suggests that there were more centers of advanced civilization in ancient times than previously thought, which honestly, even this can rewrite our entire history books. just by focusing on this one culture. The Jiroft discoveries obviously underscore the need for continuous research in archaeology and history, as there are still vast amounts of human history that remain unknown or poorly understood. The underground city of Derinkuyu. The underground city of Derinkuyu is the largest and deepest of the many underground cities discovered in the Cappadocia region of Turkey. These subterranean cities, carved from the unique volcanic rock of the area, were used throughout history for various reasons, from refuge against invaders to places for communities to live during the harsh winters. So to give you a little scale of Derinkuyu, it descends approximately 60 meters or 200 feet underground and could have sheltered as many as 20,000 people, along with their livestock and food stores. The city is organized across multiple levels, each serving completely different functions. The underground city isn't just a collection of caves, it's a well-thought-out infrastructure with ventilation shafts, wineries, chapels, water wells, stables, kitchens, and communal spaces. And the security on them is actually fascinating. There's huge stone doors which could be rolled across the tunnels and passages, and essentially this was used to seal off the city inside from outside threats. There are also numerous narrow tunnels meant to slow down intruders, making it easier for residents to defend their sanctuaries with this bottleneck purpose. Also, I will say it is fascinating that Derinkuyu is connected to other underground cities in the region through miles of underground tunnels. So the mysteries and controversies is obviously why we're here, so we'll get into that. So the Phrygians of the 8th to 7th century BC, if I even pronounce that correctly, are often credited with the beginning of the construction of the underground cities. There is evidence that suggests that earlier civilizations may have initially honed out the structures, and they were expanded over time by subsequent inhabitants. But really, we don't know. And also, while the cities clearly served as a safe place during times of war or invasions, particularly from the Arab-Byzantine wars between the 7th and 10th centuries, some believe they might have other long-term uses. The presence of chapels suggests religious or ceremonial uses, and the extensive facilities indicate that people might have lived underground for extended periods, not just during emergencies. The full extent of the underground cities in Cappadocia, including Derinkuyu, is not yet known. Many believe that much of these cities remain undiscovered, but again, we just don't know. Where Hannibal got his elephants from. So Hannibal was a Carthaginian general who lived from 247 to 183 or 181 BC. He is most famously known for his audacious crossing of the Alps during the Second Punic War against Rome, and the use of his elephants in his armies is one of the most enduring images associated with his campaigns. So the Carthaginians, being based in North Africa, primarily had access to the North African forest elephant, a subspecies smaller than the African bush elephant that we're more familiar with today. So this subspecies is now considered extinct or very rare. I think that's one of the reasons why this can come up as a mystery, because of they're not around anymore. But we'll continue. The elephants weren't just military assets, they were a symbol of Carthaginian might and power. Their sheer size and novelty would have been an intimidating sight to many of the Mediterranean civilizations unfamiliar with this creature. In general, the elephants in ancient warfare were often used to charge at the enemy lines, creating panic and disarray. Their thick skin made them relatively resistant to basic projectiles, and their sheer strength could easily topple infantry and cavalry. So I will say where he got his elephants is not so much of the mystery, and if I'm missing something, please add a comment. But one of the most enduring questions about Hannibal's campaign is how he managed to get his elephants across the Alps. The logistics of moving such large animals across mountainous terrain is ridiculous. Many elephants died during the crossing, but some did survive to participate in the battles in Italy. While it's clear that many of Hannibal's elephants would have been North African forest elephants, there is some debate about whether he might have had any of the larger Indian elephants in his ranks. Carthage did have maritime trade networks that extended as far as the Iberian Peninsula and possibly beyond, so it's conceivable, though not definitely proven, that they could have acquired Indian elephants through trade. Still, the majority would have been the North African variety. The Dolmens of Antequera. So these are located in the Malaga province of southern Spain and are one of the most remarkable and well-preserved megalithic structures in all of Europe. These Neolithic burial mounds date back to the 3rd millennium BC and are a testament to the prehistoric architectural and cultural heritage of this specific region. So there are 3 main sites here. There's Menga Dolmen, Vieira Dolmen, and El Romero Dolmen. The Menga Dolmen in particular stands out due to its size and complexity. It features a long corridor leading to a burial chamber covered by a massive stone slab weighing around 180 tons. The positioning and transportation of these large stones showcases the advanced architectural capabilities of these Neolithic communities. Dolmens also reveal the prehistoric inhabitants' knowledge of astronomy. Menga Dolmen's entrance aligns with the rising sun during the summer solstice, illuminating its inner chamber. Similarly, El Romero aligns with the constellation of the Pleiades, which we have talked about previously and is fascinating. These structures were used for ritualistic purposes, including burials, suggesting that they had a significant place in the cultural and spiritual lives of the prehistoric communities of the region. As with almost every megalithic structure worldwide, questions arise about the techniques and the tools used to construct them, and the massive stones used in constructions had to be transported, shaped, and positioned, all without the benefits of modern technology, which raises way too many conspiracies about every single one of them, and they're all very common. However, the cultural origins mystery about this is just as fascinating. It's evident that the dolmen served as burial and ritualistic sites, but there is still much to learn about the exact cultural practices, beliefs, and societal structures of the people who built them, because we don't know very much about any of them. Somebody said that a UNESCO World Heritage Site is not a big deal, so I won't mention that this was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2016, which ensures its protection and global recognition. The Tomb of Imhotep. Imhotep was a polymath who lived during the 3rd dynasty of ancient Egypt around the 27th century BC. He was a number of different things, including a high priest, scribe, physician, but is perhaps most famously remembered as the architect of the Step Pyramid of Djoser in Saqqara, one of the earliest colossal stone buildings and pyramids in Egypt. So in general, Imhotep was one of the few non-royal individuals in ancient Egypt to achieve divine status after his death. He was later worshipped as a god of wisdom and medicine, which is fascinating. So as the reputed architect of the Step Pyramid, Imhotep showcased innovative approaches to large-scale construction, which essentially laid the groundwork for the grander pyramids that would then follow in the later dynasties. And ancient texts also credit Imhotep with medical writings, making him one of the earliest known physician authors in recorded history, which is pretty cool. So the biggest mystery surrounding Imhotep is the location of his tomb. Despite his historical significance, the Tomb of Imhotep has not been conclusively identified. Some archaeologists believe it might be located near the Step Pyramid in Saqqara, while others think it could be in North Saqqara. Over the years, there have been numerous expeditions and excavations in hopes of finding Imhotep's burial place. Some Egyptologists like Zahi Hawass have speculated about potential sites, but in general, the tomb remains elusive. And another side mystery, regardless of where his tomb is, because honestly, I don't think that's important. What I find more fascinating is the deification of Imhotep, which in short essentially means the elevating him from a historical figure to a god which was worshipped. This is a unique development in ancient Egypt and highlights his unparalleled contributions to ancient Egyptian society. But it also complicates historical interpretations, as religious veneration can also blend facts with myths and legends. So we're not quite 100% sure what is true and what is mixed in with a little bit of myth and legend. But I guess that comes with any kind of history. The Samothrace Temple Complex. So the Samothrace Temple Complex, also known as the Sanctuary of the Great Gods, is located on the island of Samothrace in the northern Aegean Sea. The Sanctuary of the Great Gods is an ancient temple complex and religious site in general. It's known for its association with the mystery cults of ancient Greece, particularly the cult of the great gods, or the Kyberi, which I have talked about previously. The initiates of this mystery cult, known as Mystae, participated in rituals, the details of which remain largely unknown due to their secretive nature, and eventual loss due to their secretive nature. The site includes various structures such as the Rotunda of Arsinoe, the Anactoron, and the Hieron, all of which likely used for initiation rites. But the complex layout of the sanctuary itself was built around the terraces and slopes of Mount Fengari, reveals the architectural brilliance of the ancient builders, regardless of what they practiced. It is important to note that the renowned Hellenistic statue, the Winged Victory of Samothrace, or the Nike of Samothrace, was discovered at this site, and today it is actually displayed at the Louvre in Paris. The sanctuary attracted worshippers and pilgrims from across the ancient world, and unlike other religious sites we've talked about previously, which often had strict citizenship or ethnic requirements for participation, the Samothrace mysteries were open to all, regardless of ethnicity or social status, which attracted many people across the ancient world. And to just go over the nature of the mysteries in general, like we have previously, the exact rites and beliefs associated with the Samothrace mysteries are still a subject of speculation across the archaeological realm. Due to the secretive nature of the mystery cults, only initiates knew the full details of the rituals and were sworn to secrecy, and so when they died off, so did their secrets. While it's accepted that the gods worshipped at Samothrace were the Kiberi, their exact nature and identity remain a matter of debate. They were likely underworld deities, and some scholars suggest they might have pre-Greek, possibly Thracian origins, which is interesting. Over time, the site saw influences from various cultures, including the Thracians, Greeks, and Romans. This layered history can make it challenging for archaeologists to understand the chronological development of the site and the chronological development of the religion itself. Mysterious graffiti in Pompeii. The ancient Roman city of Pompeii, located near modern-day Naples in Italy, was famously buried by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE. The volcanic ash preserved the city perfectly, offering a snapshot of Roman life, which is fascinating to look at. Among the many well-preserved elements in Pompeii are the numerous examples of graffiti, which provide intimate glimpses into the lives, humor, concerns, and culture of its inhabitants. The graffiti in Pompeii covers a wide range of topics from political endorsements and poetic verses to more personal messages, declarations of love, and even some lewd comments. Some walls contain dialogues where one piece of graffiti elicited responses from other residents, giving a sense of public discourse and interaction, which is pretty cool to read. And the prevalence of the graffiti itself suggests a high level of literacy among the general population, which Latin was the primary language used, but the styles varied, revealing differences in education levels and just by reading the graffiti. Given that the graffiti were written on walls that could have been repainted or plastered over time, it's kind of challenging to determine precisely when each message was written, but I don't know why that really matters. And also, like, who wrote them? I mean, it's graffiti, so it's not like they're signing their initials. Some content can provide some clues. The exact authors of many graffiti pieces remain unknown, obviously, but we do know that they were written by locals. But why do you need to know further? I don't know. Some of it just also doesn't make any sense. Some of it is extremely clear-cut. We know exactly what it means, while others are kind of broad and almost meaningless to us, where I think that they knew exactly what they were writing down. In general, I think the Pompeii graffiti is fascinating. It provides an unfiltered voice from the individuals of the ancient world, and honestly, we need to do the most that we can to preserve it. The mystery of the Headless Romans in York. In 2004, during an excavation in York, England, archaeologists uncovered an ancient burial site containing the remains of over 80 individuals. I will say this wasn't an ordinary burial, though. The skeletons were mostly decapitated, with their heads placed elsewhere in the grave. There were over 80 skeletons found. More than 50 were decapitated. The heads were often placed by the feet, beside the hip, or even in the chest area. Most of the remains belonged to young males, many of whom showed signs of trauma or injuries consistent with combat. The burials are believed to date back to the Roman period, roughly around the 3rd to 4th century CE. And despite the violent end these individuals met due to their trauma, the burials were done with care. The bodies were placed in particular positions, suggesting ritual or respect rather than a hasty burial. The primary mystery revolves around the reason for the decapitations. Were these execution victims, casualties of gladiatorial combat, soldiers fallen in battle, or individuals subjected to particular post-mortem ritual? Obviously, we don't know, and that's why it's on the list. Decapitation and the deliberate placement of heads in the graves might have had cultural or ritual significance, yet deciphering this symbolism or its purpose in the broader context of Roman or even local British customs has been unfruitful. So the isotopic analysis of the teeth from skeletons suggests that several of these individuals might not have been local to the York region, which does raise some questions about who these men were, where they came from, and why they met the fate in York. It's like, what happened there? We don't really know. In relation to the Roman York, though, during the Roman period, York was a significant military base. So this might tie to the broader history of the Roman York, its military presence, and potential conflicts during its occupation, but still does not explain why these people were decapitated. And not even all of them, just the majority of them, I guess. Thasos murder mystery. So on the Greek island of Thasos, a puzzling archaeological find was unearthed with a large communal tomb dating back to the end of the 4th century BC being uncovered, and a male skeleton that bore signs of severe injury suggesting a violent death was uncovered. So the age of the skeleton, the remains belong to a man who was between 35 and 45 years old at the time of his death. He suffered multiple blows with evidence of a penetrating injury to the pelvis and defensive wounds on the hand and blows to the facial structure. The man was not hastily buried, but instead was buried with care, and the communal tomb he was placed in was not disturbed until archaeologists found it, indicating a respect for the dead. The end of the 4th century BC was a period of turmoil and conflict in the region, especially due to the Macedonian influence and territorial ambitions of them, so it would be interesting to see how that tied in there. So the title of this is Murder Mystery, so the nature of the man's injuries suggests a deliberate act of murder, but the exact circumstances, whether it was a personal dispute, a consequence of warfare, a political motivated assassination, or some other reason, remain a complete matter of speculation. And due to it being a communal tomb, it suggests that he was a respected member of his community. The man's exact identity and social status remain unknown, probably middle class-ish, if I had to say, due to it being a communal tomb. But in general, pretty cool archaeological find, and this type of stuff I find fascinating. Well, that about wraps it up. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry it took so long to get this video out. I got addicted to golf, realized I was bad, and now I'm back. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll be back posting regular content. So anyways, see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.